Hello everyone, welcome to I Jump Instead. Welcome to our weight loss podcast. We're so excited to share with you how we each lost 50 pounds and how we feel you can attack your weight loss goals once and for all, because we know that feeling good in your body is a huge part of being happy, and we want you to be happy and healthy and live as long as possible. And so we're really excited to dive into these weight loss strategies, and we are also writing an ebook, and I'm excited because this weight loss podcast is going to help us organize the nutrition chapter in that ebook. And so thank you for being here, and just bear with us while we go through all of these different notes and strategies with you, because there are so many. And so we want to make sure that you have the full picture of how to lose that stubborn body fat that you might be trying to get off of your body. You're gonna get it figured out. We're here to help you every step of the way. And so let's go ahead and get started on this podcast, and feel free to leave your comments and questions in the comments box below, whether you're live or you're watching this after it's been posted, and we will get to your questions as soon as possible. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Sally. How are you?
Yes, I'm Sally, and this is Stephanie. I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you
Good.
for asking. And I just want to say that we are I Jump Instead, and we are rebounding instructors on this channel. And we ultimately want to help to share our lifestyle and all the things that we embody in order to produce the results, and the physical, emotional, and mental results that we're desiring. And we want to help you along that journey and share as much as we can.
Yes.
So this weight loss video is really about sharing our personal experience and knowledge, and we are coming from a background of experimenting and exploring, and there's a lot of trial and error in the journey. That's always the case when it comes to weight loss. And so exactly what we did was a journey of trial and error, and ultimately we came to the conclusion of really what was the answer, or what really clicked us into the momentum of weight loss. And so this is really depicting that, and we're sharing that with you. And we want you to know that our weight loss dialogue is ever evolving. It comes and it had the foundation of our weight loss dialogue comes from our past relationship with food. And we want you to understand that, because everyone who is a weight loss influencer on social media ultimately is coming from their past relationship with food. And I think to some degree it is a reflection. What we teach as influencers about weight loss or with exercise or training, we are teaching what we needed to teach ourselves along the way.
Exactly.
So take what you want from what we're discussing here today. Feel free to practice or to consider practicing the things that we're helping you to understand and explore it. But ultimately, everybody's weight loss journey is very individual and very personal, and a lot of the approach that we want to help you with is going to relate to your past. It's going to relate to your relationship with food, which I'm going to talk more about later when it comes to it, dialing into who we are when we are making choices that will help us to lose weight. Getting to know our past selves is going to really help us to understand how we can succeed as individuals and as unique individuals with a unique past in this lifestyle. So we're not confused by someone else's past and someone else's dialogue and someone else's recommendations based on their past. Ultimately, you're understanding or getting to know, or hopefully we'll get to know your past with your relationship with food in order to align you with what will work to get the needle moving.
Yes, balance is actually the key word of this podcast, and everyone will have their own balance needs, and then your balance needs will shift and constantly be shifting, because every decision that we make in life will have us teeter-tottering a little bit. And so what we want to do is know that balance is really just the default of life, longevity. It's what is. It's balance in everything, up and down. It's definitely, it's how we can find homeostasis in our bodies, hormone balance, and happiness. You know, we know that we're going to have our ups and downs in life, and so being able to manage those ups and downs is how we bring ourselves back into balance. And that is how we finally lose body fat, because the body will always prioritize the absolute most important thing that it needs to focus on in the moment. And if we have stress in our bodies, or we have dis-ease in our bodies, it might not be the top priority for our bodies to drop body fat in a healthy way. And then there's also the opposite extreme of that, where we might have weight loss happen in an unhealthy way, and our bodies are actually trying to stay in balance, and it's actually tilting the scale. You're losing weight, but you really don't want to be losing that weight, because that's weight that would be keeping you healthy, but your body is doing what it needs to do to keep you in balance. So this podcast is going to be about losing healthy weight, when you're losing body fat in a healthy way. That's how I should say it. And so we're going to talk about balance, and it also relates to longevity, because we want to be focused on living a long, healthy, happy life. So when we make decisions on how to lose weight, we really want to be thinking about the big long-term picture, which is hopefully for us to live as long and healthily as possible. And so it's easy to get caught up in short-term solutions when it comes to weight loss, but we want to have weight loss be the goal, balanced with longevity. And then we can start to realize what's important here, because weight loss can sometimes be so important for us, but we're really missing out on the opportunity of finding peace, which is going to carry us long into our latest years. And so let's go ahead and get started with what I have here for my notes with balance. So it does say that a balanced, and I got all of this information online and from AI. I love researching on GPT, and I go in and I just ask ChatGPT questions, and I ask them in my own unique way, and it responds. And I asked ChatGPT about a balanced life, and what does it mean to have a balanced life? And it says, and to have longevity. It says a balanced life involves nurturing all aspects of health: physical, mental, emotional, and social. So those four important aspects of health. And this will help avoid burnout, reduce stress, and keep the body functioning optimally, which is so important. I'm so glad that it said avoid burnout, because that's another thing too. When we go after weight loss, we often go after strategies that cause burnout. And we want, again, to focus on avoiding burnout, because we're in it for the long haul, long-term longevity. So avoiding burnout, reducing stress, another huge factor in weight loss. We need to reduce stress in our bodies and in our lives so that we can have those balanced hormones, because increased cortisol can set and can put your whole body off center, off balance. And then weight loss will be the last priority. Healthy fat loss will be the last priority. So let's go ahead and get into, just briefly, into each of these four categories: balanced diet, balanced exercise, balanced mindset, and balanced relationships. So what I have here for balanced diet, they're all brief, is eating a variety of nutrient-dense foods that fuel the body, support the immune system, and lower the risk of chronic diseases.
I want to just say, if anybody has a moment to get a pen and paper, you might want to jot some notes down, because she's got some really good information here. And then I'm going to be finishing off the podcast with my specific insights. And so we really do want you to take notes if you're interested, just so you can kind of grip everything that we're saying, because it's a lot of information. We want you to review it and understand it maybe on a more personal level at a later time.
It's a great idea. And having a journal, not only for just your own, studying, and also for journaling your thoughts. That's going to be one of the strategies too for mental health. But so finding a balanced diet. What I want to briefly say about diet, first and foremost, is that we need to focus on eating variety of fuel. And what we need to do is understand fuel and our fuel needs. And so you can take this with a grain of salt. You can also hear me and know that I've done a lot of extensive research on proper fuel sources for the body. And what it comes down to, what I've learned, is that the primary fuel source for the human body is glucose, and then the secondary fuel source for the body is fat. And what we want to do is focus on one or the other, because all of the systems will function on and run optimally on glucose, or if glucose isn't present in the body, then it will revert to running on fat, on ketones. So we don't want to mix the two, because if our whole body runs primarily on glucose, then we want to fuel our body primarily glucose and then let the rest go. Just focus on that fuel.
What would you say if there was a percentage wise? Because we don't want to avoid one or the other 100%.
Yes.
We want to find just the right balance. What would you say that balance could look like?
I would say that if there's any other macronutrients that are coming in, if they're coming in to help the primary fuel source go down, meaning it's getting you to maximize your food to be the glucose focus, then it's totally appropriate. And what you want to do then, it's hard to say percentages because everything has different, grams of fats. In this example, in the glucose focused example, if you're putting certain condiments on your food that have fat grams, you can choose lower fat. You can have like 1 tablespoon of plant butter, for example, that will have 4 grams of fat, or 1 tablespoon of oil that will have 14 grams of fat. And so if it's percentages, it's hard to say, but what you want to do is you want to focus primarily on the fuel source, whether it's glucose or fat, and then take note from the keto diet. When you're on keto, you need to have really low carbohydrate, because then the body will not kick back into using glucose as its primary fuel source. You want it to stay in ketosis. So it's a rule of thumb is to have under 50 grams of carbs in the day, and this will keep the body in ketosis. And I think a lot of keto enthusiasts actually aim for less than that even. They aim for maybe 30 grams or less of carbs a day. And I actually think that it's perfect in its opposite, where if we're running on a glucose-based diet, we actually want to keep our fat grams around 30 grams. And then we can have some wiggle room there depending on our lifestyle and how much energy we're exerting, and also by trial and error. And then when it comes to protein, if we're eating fuel sources that are whole fuel sources, we're going to have protein be in those fuel sources naturally. And we want those natural proteins in our fuel sources, because when it comes to animal product proteins, those require an acidic digestion, and carbohydrates and fats require an alkaline digestion. So when we're mixing in the animal products, then we're now requiring 2 different types of digestion, and that will cause digestive disruption. And that right there will cause so many problems. And that's going to be one of the biggest things when it comes to weight loss. We want ultimate digestive health. We need to be talking about you having a solid, strong digestion, and that comes down to also having a strong stomach muscle. The stomach is a muscle and an organ, and it needs to be strong. And so that's our digestion. They say that digestion is also like our second brain. We need to have our digestion running so well, and then hormones need to stay balanced. If those were the top 2 things that were your number 1 priority, including a 3rd thing, hydration, if those were your top 3 things for weight loss, you could go after your weight loss goals and succeed sooner than later. If you are staying on your hydration and you are focusing on maximizing your digestion, and you're focusing on maximizing your hormone balance, which we're going to talk about in here.
Maximizing digestion, happiness.
Digestive happiness,
and health.
digestive smoothness. We don't want to be over bulking. So, and then it comes to balance. And I'm going to get into all of that. And so
That was what I wrote about balanced diet. Eating a variety of nutrient-dense foods that fuel the body, support the immune system, and lower risk of chronic diseases. Because when we really do focus on fuel, all of our organs are nourished. And when all of our organs are nourished, we really reduce the risk of chronic disease. We have to realize that. When we're running primarily on glucose or on fat, then all systems go when we eat that fuel source, and every organ says yes, 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 and is very happy and functions optimally. And this is when the body functions as it should. And when you experience this for yourself, you will feel like you are alive, and you're no longer in pain. You're no longer a victim of this earth, but rather you are getting this opportunity to be alive, and you're feeling that, and you're connecting with it. You can still enjoy life to the absolute max, find your balance with everything, and you will feel connected to life in a way that you may have never felt before. And this is what we have discovered with following the fuel rule of following a starch-based diet, because that's what we go for, or we've chosen the glucose-focused diet, and hydration, and everything in here that talks about hormone balance, and our lives have transformed dramatically. This is how we both lost 50 pounds. This is how we both conquered rebounding, and we're only 8 years in. And imagine where we'll be at 18 years in, at 28 years in. Imagine where we'll be when we're in our 90s, hundreds, if we can live that long, like our 104-year-old grandma. We're hoping to jump and stay true to keeping our bodies in balance until then. And so it's exciting because we're hoping to live a long life so we can all keep experiencing life, because this is our one time here on earth. So, well, unless we believe in reincarnation, when maybe we'll get more times here on earth. Right?
Right.
Okay, so then go through these quickly. Balanced exercise is the next thing I wrote. Regular, moderate physical activity strengthens the heart, maintains muscle mass, and supports joint health without overtraining or causing injury. So what we want to do is choose a sport that has us training at a moderate level. So not at high intensity, even though you may hear online from doctors or from fitness experts or enthusiasts that you may need to train, in certain zones to reach your goals. Well, here it says balanced exercise. So let's think of it more in a balanced way, where we don't necessarily want to train in a way that we're causing the most stress on our bodies and then we're causing the least stress. But why not meet ourselves right in the middle? Find that moderate physical activity so that we can have a strong heart, maintain muscle mass. And I like to say maintain because I do think that we all have muscle already. It's hard to not have muscle if we're human beings on this earth being against gravity and moving around. So you at the very least want to maintain your muscle. And then if you involve yourself in a sport that can not only maintain your muscle, but also increase muscle mass over time, then you have found your true sport. I don't think it should be about trying to gain 5-10 pounds of muscle every year. It should be about stabilizing balance again, because if we go after 10 pounds of muscle and then 10 more pounds of muscle, and we've reached this body that has all this extra muscle mass, but then you hit menopause or you're in your 60s and 70s now and you're losing all of that muscle,
because you're not able to sustainably maintain
exactly
the effort in which it's required to keep it.
You're not able to sustain that effort. Thank you. Exactly. Then now your body has to process all of this muscle, and it's like using it as, I don't know what it's doing, if it's like burning it as fuel or if it has to process out through the body, because bodybuilders, for example, they lose all that muscle when they can discontinue all of their vigorous training.
I just thought of this, that holding excess muscle, because I think we can be humans who carry excess muscle.
Yes.
That is possible. what if that the skin is ultimately stretched more than it should be? And so when the lifestyle doesn't align with the maintenance of that muscle and the muscle dissolves and the muscle is processed, what you're left with is even higher chances of loose skin or of skin that's not tight and
So fat.
toned because the muscle dissolves and the elasticity is just not there as much, rather than just having built the amount of muscle that the moderate intensity balanced approach of sport will provide for our bodies. That amount of muscle is sustainable to maintain, which will keep the skin in alignment or in a balance around that muscle.
So
And
gaining
tight, keeping it.
Yeah,
keeping
so
tight.
gaining too much fat or gaining too much muscle can stretch the skin out. Very interesting. She and I both, as you have heard, were 50 pounds heavier. So it's taken us time to tighten our skin up, but it happens and we can figure it out. We can tighten it back up, especially if we use strategies like jumping instead on a rebounder, because everything goes north. Whenever we're jumping, we're promoting everything to be pulled upward. And so we love jumping instead as our form of moderate training, intensity, I should say, physical activity, moderate physical activity, which strengthens our heart, maintains and builds our muscle mass, and supports our joint health. Again, if you're choosing a sport that is putting your joints at risk, consider that you need to go for the longevity and you want your joints to be as healthy as possible so that you have the best opportunity that you can to lose weight and live long and be happy.
So important.
Yes.
So joint health, it's just
Yes.
beyond important.
Yes.
And what you said, I just have to say about the lifted muscle, Sally. I mean, when we are contracting muscle and lengthening muscle and we're lifting it for half of the entire duration of our workouts, we are literally lifting our bodies and creating a look that we're not used to seeing. It's the lifted look. It's the look that we've always dreamed of having into our later years. That's why we're so excited to age and see what happens, because jumping long term and jumping short term, it's an instant lift, and it's just beautiful to see how these muscles develop in their lifted form, and it's amazing, especially if you're using strategies on a rebounder to activate the muscles, which is what we offer here on this channel. We definitely have dialed in some amazing, unique strategies to specifically build skeletal muscle tissue throughout the entire body.
Yes.
So we feel that this is the perfect balanced, moderate intensity exercise because of the strategies that we incorporate in order to build and maintain muscle throughout the body symmetrically and proportionately.
Did you just hear her too? She said something profound, that jumping gives us a short-term boost as well as a long-term boost. Talk about that short-term endorphin rush, mental boost when you jump, even just for 30 seconds. Short-term and then the long-term boost. Jumping is everything. We're obsessed with it, and we really do feel like it can be a part of everyone's life, even if we're still involving ourselves in other forms of training. Like, what gives me chills is having the foundation of a jumping body, the healthy joints, strong heart, healthy muscle tissue, the flexible muscle tissue, because we're not breaking it down as much as when we are lifting iron weights.
Yes.
You have that as the foundation of your health so that you can also engage in your other favorite hobbies, whether they be swimming or running, weightlifting, anything that you like to do.
Pickleball, tennis, yoga.
Yes.
Pilates.
Be a yogi master.
Dancing,
because you have that foundational health from jumping. Because when you start jumping, it will click. You'll go, oh, I get it. I get why kids jump when they're young, because it's like intuition. It's like intuitive. We jump because we know that it feels good to defy gravity. It's a strengthening mechanism. And so we get it as kids, but then we often lose it as adults. But when we get back into it, it all clicks. It goes, oh, I get why this feels so good. Okay. That tugging on the body is just like the pump you get at the gym. Every pull on your body will make you feel so good.
I think what makes kids so enviable when they're fit or they're having so much fun jumping, isn't it because they're flexible?
Yeah.
It's like we
Yeah,
see flexibility when we see a kid jumping, because
Yes.
usually they're trying to get into flexible positions.
Yeah.
Usually. So flexibility was a word you just said that it really sparks joy for me, and it really hits home, because building muscle that is kind of hydrated and is in motion and is flexible is so profound beyond even what I can fathom.
Wow.
It's a beautiful muscle, and it's the kind of muscle that we all need to have, the supple, soft tissue, flexible muscle that's actually quite delicate and quite beautiful and streamlined in its relaxed position, and then quite gorgeous and shapely and profoundly beautiful and impressive when flexed.
Yes. And when we follow our fuel rule, where we align ourselves with eating primarily our body's primary or secondary fuel source, then we reduce in the glucose. When we follow a high glucose diet, high carbohydrate diet, we end up with really lean muscle tissue. And the same thing when we follow a fat-based diet and we keep the carbohydrates extremely low and we just eat primarily fat for our fuel, then we also can build a leaner tissue of muscle, because we're not confusing it with the carbohydrates mixing with the fats, and therefore then our muscles develop strong and healthy because we're on one fuel source. And so I don't know as much about how keto works, but from what I've studied and learned, they really mirror each other, the glucose-based diet and the keto-based diet, as the primary and the secondary fuel plans. And so I know and I'm confident that you can have excellent results following either or, but not interchanging them.
So what you're saying is, when we have the starch high and the fat low, or the fat high and the starch low, when we are building muscle, we are more likely to have low body fat, aka ideal body composition,
Yes.
and we may even appear to have what is a slighter muscle than we are used to seeing, because our muscle tissue is leaner. So whether we believe or we've been told that this muscle is adequate for the body, that's what we have to ultimately question, is this leaner tissue adequately sized? And ultimately we feel that it is perfectly proportioned. So that's the answer. If it's proportioned to our bodies and it comes with the joint health and the sustainability of maintenance, then that seems to be the perfect amount of size in order to have the quality skeletal muscle tissue we need for longevity, and to also support bone density. Well, rebounding
yes.
supports bone density, but having healthy skeletal muscle tissue helps with everything in the body, including bone density and optimal hormone levels, and reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease. Perfectly skeletal,
and I hear
healthy
some of
muscle.
you asking about protein still, and I do want to say one more thing about protein, and that is that protein will protein is for building the structure of our body. It's not a fuel source, and we often think we need to eat protein for our meals when we really need to ask ourselves, are we eating this protein for fuel, or are we eating this protein for muscle repair because we have gone in and made our muscles really sore from damaging them with lifting or with defying gravity? And so we might need to make that switch. We need to make that switch in our mind so that we understand that when we're fueling our body, we're fueling hormonal balance, we're fueling our sleep, and we're fueling our muscles. And when we have all of those things fueled, then we will be able to burn body fat, and we burn body fat through movement and also while we sleep. And so we need to be sleeping hard at night. And then when our hormones are balanced, our body is in a calm state that allows us to finally lose that body fat. Because again, when we're in a stressed state, then weight loss, fat loss will be a last priority, or we'll lose body weight that won't be healthy. We don't want to lose that weight. It will be unhealthy weight that we're losing. It may be fat, but it also could be nutrition, like nourishment in the body. And we could even, Where does bone density go when we start to get, leaning towards osteopenia and osteoporosis? I mean, what if we're sacrificing our bone health? Because if we're dropping weight in the wrong way, then we could be taking from muscle tissue, taking from our bones, taking from our nutrition that we're eating, and we're not storing it in the body. Rather, we're losing that weight, water weight too. We need to hold a certain amount of water weight on our body in order to hydrate our cells so that they properly function. And often I think that we are trying to drop water weight when really we want to be as hydrated as we possibly can. And so we lose
Optimal.
body fat, and it's not about water dropping. We don't want to step on the scale and see water dropping. It will move like this through the month, which when we know that it's normal, then we see that water dropping and increasing, and we don't take it, we don't get scared that we're or falsely excited that we're losing weight. We understand that water will shift, but we want to be losing body fat on the scale. And so being at maximum hydration, then when the scale drops, we know it's body fat. And when the scale is dropping, what we like to do is look at the average of our weight over the month and then see if that average drops each month. Because again, you're going to be in a range of 3 pounds through the month, even up to 5 pounds. And then the next month, you want that range to possibly dip down another pound. And that means you've successfully lost a pound of body fat. So anything else, or do you want me to keep going here?
I did think of this, and that the amount of protein we feel we need. I think that ultimately the drive is to fuel muscle gain. So eat protein or focus on protein. And maybe I'm questioning, like I was just mentioning before, just how much muscle the body needs to have to be in that optimal state of having that healthy, health protecting cardio or skeletal muscle tissue. How much skeletal tissue do we truly need? If we're approaching exercise with a moderate intensity, balanced approach, a sustainable approach, how much muscle do we truly need? And if our focus, if the dialogue is that we're focused on protein, the building blocks, and we're neglecting, like she said, the fuel source that fuels the brain, that fuels the workouts, that fuels the recovery, that fuels the sleep, to have a deep sleep every single night is more desirable than building more muscle than the body needs in order to protect ourselves and to get ahead of the game, like putting away savings. We should instead be staying, keeping our credit card, debts paid and not using the credit card. We should be instead focused on the fuel and the maintenance and or just establishing just the amount of muscle that our body needs by giving us just enough protein that would come as a decoration or a perfect addition to the high starch fuel or the high fat fuel. That's our opinion, our experience, and our desire too when it comes to how much muscle we choose to build. And it turns out rebounding builds amazing muscle more than we may even think or believe.
We both have built incredible muscle in our biceps, triceps, lats, deltoids,
thighs,
glutes,
hamstrings, calves, everything,
abs,
back, core, face.
We've become hard to the touch. And it seems to be continuing
but soft
to
at the same
get
time
dense.
because the muscle is flexible.
Yes.
And so it's nice, it's healthy, it's hydrated.
Yes.
So go ahead.
And she said something specific too I wanted to touch on. She said, or I heard, we often feel that protein fuels our muscles, builds our muscles. Resistance training builds your muscles. Protein repairs broken down muscle tissue. So again, when you tell yourself, protein will fuel my muscles, will build my muscles, resistance training will build your muscles. Protein will repair the little fibers that are torn in your muscles if you are getting sore and you're getting sore all over, and know that it's so much easier to eat too much protein than it is to not eat enough protein. It's actually not even like, it's almost impossible to not eat or to eat too little protein. It's near impossible. And so we really just have to understand that. And if you're carrying weight, you want to trim down and see the muscle that you have, explore reducing your protein and see what happens. Guaranteed, you will lose body fat and you will see your muscles, and you won't think, well, I'm losing muscle. No, you're losing the body fat. And you could also be losing the fat that's stored in your muscle tissue. And so your muscles might shrink a little bit.
Or even excess muscle tissue that you don't need.
Well, that could happen through rebounding, because rebounding is so balancing in the body.
But even with the diet, I think that if your diet is right on, then even if heavy weight training, you do build optimal muscle mass, but you might not be, fueling for extra broken down tissue and scar tissue.
And protein also can cause inflammation, because again, it requires an acidic environment if we're eating animal proteins. And also with processed proteins like protein powders, they're very dehydrating for the body. And when our body is dehydrated, then we don't have optimal digestion. And when we don't have our organs functioning optimally, that's when we really can increase the risk of low-grade inflammation. And when we have low-grade inflammation, we just are puffier overall, and we want that to be dropped. We want to maintain a healthy body without that. We're just putting ourselves at risk of disease as well, chronic diseases, because that low-grade inflammation is a state of stress in the body.
Yes.
And so just explore reducing protein, and trust that if you're eating a variety of foods, especially with a glucose-based diet, we need to be eating a variety of starches. And so we can have lots of starch options that have fiber and have protein in them. Fiber and protein are often connected. I think that they're always connected.
Fiber
and protein.
No.
Yes.
Oh, no,
Fiber and protein.
No, chicken is not
No,
protein.
in plants.
In
Sorry.
plants.
Sorry, not in animal products. In plants, fiber and protein are connected. Fiber is another huge part of weight loss and a part of health. When we have fiber, we have a healthy gut microbiome, and we have excellent digestion, assimilation, elimination. We need to be eliminating every day. And then we need to have that fiber to help us to have that satiation. We need to be able to detect our satiation cues, because when we're eating and we want weight loss, we want to know when we're full. There's a balance. We're going to get to it when it comes to which starches we choose, because there are starches that have higher fiber and lower fiber, because we can have refined starch options. But we want a balance, because there is a way to eat a starch-based diet that we can have too much fiber, and that will cause distress as well. Then when it comes to a fat-focused diet, we actually need to supplement our protein needs with vegetables. And then because
Our fiber needs?
our fiber needs and protein, because fibers and proteins are connected when it comes to plants. So avocados are a wonderful fat source for a fat-focused diet. Also coconut. Also, if we do have animal products, fatty fish and things like that, and some animal products, when it comes to a fat-focused diet, I know that it would be really tough. There are plant-focused high-fat diets that you can follow, but I don't want to tell you how to do a fat-focused diet, a keto diet, but I want you to just know that there's a balance that you need to find with your fuel, which is your fat, and then how much fiber you're eating. And then remember, fiber is connected to protein in plants, but if you're not getting enough protein in your diet, then you may need to supplement with some animal products. But know that when you do, you could be compromising your digestion just because of the acidic environment that is required for digesting animal products.
And it's
so
not all or nothing,
Right.
There's
It's a
some
balance.
wiggle room. There's
It's a
wiggle
balance.
room for sure.
Yes, and so
That's why you can supplement with added vegetables, because vegetables have incredible protein. And so on a fat-focused diet, you can have avocado and coconut and things like that that really fuel your body, and then fill your body up also with vegetables, because fat also has 9 calories per gram versus carbohydrate, which is 4 calories per gram. So with fat, you thankfully don't need as much volume. You don't, because you have X amount of calories from fat versus, so if you have, let's say, a 2,000 calorie diet for both sides, when you eat fat, you will only need so many grams of fat because it's got more than double the calories. And so you're going to need more volume here. But if you supplement with vegetables, then your volume will be equal. And you need volume in your body to detect, so that your stomach can feel that satiation in your stomach. We don't want to just have too little volume. So vegetables and avocado and coconut and oils would be a very healthy, high fat focused diet. And then a starch-based diet with vegetables as needed. We can get more into that later, and so we don't go too much off track here, but can both be very successful for weight loss. And then meeting your protein needs
Are we going to
easily.
talk about starch options at all? Because you just skipped right over that. Is that okay?
Oh, well, starches are, we like to, focus mainly on, we've got grains, and then we've got potatoes, and then we've got, root vegetables and squash and beans and legumes. And then we've got fruits and vegetables. That's a grain, yeah. And then we've got fruits and vegetables. And so all of those will have a balance of fuel to fiber and water. And we have to have a variety. I like to say, just trust in eating a variety and you will find your way on either side. Okay, and give it a try. See what happens with your body weight. See what happens just by following that rule of thumb. And you could just by that, with hydration and an emphasis on balancing your hormones, which I'll get into those strategies here in just a second, that could take care of your weight loss goals right there. And your superpowers are a huge part of this, like exercise.
I'm going to definitely at the end of this video give you a really great tip on how to structure yourself with a starch-based diet to maximize your results.
Okay, the last two things here, balanced mindset. So this is huge because we want to be in a good state of mind in order to conquer the present moment. We want to stay in the present moment, and when we're in a good state of mind, we're not reaching for the past or the future or stimulation or distraction. We're in the moment, and then we notice that we take care of our needs. Managing stress, practicing mindfulness, and finding time for relaxation will support mental health, which in turn helps the body heal and recover. Because the body is a healing machine. The body is always doing whatever it can to stay in balance. And us as humans, we're the ones that are exposing ourselves to the elements and to overtraining, undertraining, eating this, eating that, not drinking enough water, not sleeping enough. So what we want to do is keep a balanced mindset so that we can bring ourselves back to balance, keep our bodies healing and recovering from the imbalances that we bring by default, just by living. And that's okay. We need to be okay with that because we're human, and that's what we're here to do, is live the human life, but learn how to manage it. And then the last one is balanced relationships. Healthy social connections provide emotional support and reduce feelings of isolation, which are important for long-term well-being. Again, for longevity, for weight loss, we want to have those balanced relationships. With I Jump Instead, we're here giving you an opportunity to have a community. We have a Facebook group, then we have our daily classes that we go live Sunday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for free for you for 30 minutes for a daily jumping workout with us. And then we give you an opportunity to join our moderate physical activity intensity classes, bodybuilding aerobics classes on a rebounder in our membership here on YouTube. I Jump Instead YouTube for only $24.99 a month, and that's another community opportunity for you to connect with others. And what we want you to do is step out of your comfort zone and
support others. And so we're all supporting each other, and then you will be supported back. And it starts with you supporting others. So if you're in Facebook, comment. If you post a post, that's wonderful. Others are going to comment to you. Then you can comment on other people's posts. If you see comments in the comment section in the membership classes or in our daily free classes, comment and also respond to others and just connect, because one comment response back to you can change your whole day. And if you're the one to leave that comment response, it could change your whole day when they respond back and say, I'm so glad you responded. You just made my whole day. And so that's a huge part of weight loss and longevity and health, is to connect and have a healthy, balanced relationship. So we give you that opportunity here, but obviously you need to work on your home life and your relationship with yourself. And so that's why we like having a journal, because sometimes you just have to talk it out with yourself. And sometimes writing down your thoughts and feelings, even if you say, I don't know what I'm writing, but I'm writing because Sally and Stephanie told me to write, then you might start to just go into a new dialogue, and all of a sudden you're realizing that you can talk about what you want to get done for the day, and maybe you can talk about something that happened the day before, and you feel differently after you have this journaling session. And we want you to feel better, and that's the goal, is to feel better. And so it works its way into bringing those good feelings into your body. So it's all about consistency. Or I should say, it's about consistency rather than perfection. Finding a rhythm that works for your mind and body. So don't go after perfection. Go after consistency and balance. And know that if you're in a slump, you're gonna tilt. You're going to find your way as long as you trust in your superpowers. And the superpowers I'm talking about are the superpowers that are written in my ebook. And they're very simple, and I'll go ahead and tell you what they are right now. The superpowers are hydration, and I talked about that being one of the main components of weight loss. That is your number one superpower. And then your second superpower is jumping instead, or physical activity that has your heart strong, your joints strong, and your muscles strong. And we think jumping instead is a wonderful way to engage your muscles and strengthen your joints and your heart and your organs and your brain health, and keep your body and your muscles flexible and moving, and have it be a sustainable way to move.
And balanced way to move.
And balanced.
Isn't it amazing
Incredible.
how it strengthens our balancing mechanisms, which
Yes.
means rebounding is a balanced exercise.
And it's a balancing
exercise.
Yes, which is huge for weight loss. And so kids can jump. If you buy a rebounder, which we have in the description box, all the information you need, you will not only be able to use it yourself, but your family will be able to use it. If you have a family, if you have kids or elders, parents, they will also be able to use it. And hopefully, if it's a higher quality rebounder, it will be with you for life. That's the goal with, sometimes we get like an introduction rebounder where we just get our feet wet with a budget-friendly rebounder, but then we can invest in a better one because it really is a health machine, and know that this is a lifelong investment, and it's going to pay you more than 100-fold in what you pay for it, because of how the health and well-being that it will bring you. And so
Superpowers.
and then we offer the classes for you free on YouTube. So then the third superpower is nose breathing. We need to keep our mouths closed. When our jaw is hanging open, it's in poor posture. It would be just like hanging and slouching your spine. So you need to keep your mouth closed. And to take it to the maximum level, you would also push your tongue up to the roof of your mouth. So your teeth are together without being clenched. Your lips are together, and that's jaw posture. And you absolutely want to train in nose breathing, good jaw posture, because not only will that promote tightening of your jawline and of your face, but it also strengthening your face, but it will also keep you in the nose breathing zone. And it might feel like a step back when you first start nose breathing in your training, but when you build up your lung strength and your cardiovascular strength in the nose breathing zone, workouts will never be the same for you. You're going to feel a sense of calm and a sense of peace when you're training that's going to make you feel
so connected to your workouts, and it's like the way Arnold Schwarzenegger sees training. He sees it as a part of his everyday life, and that's how we want you to see training. We want you to think of it as something that you do every day, just like you sleep and drink water and eat. You train, you keep your body healthy and strong. And so when you're nose breathing, you connect to that. When you mouth breathe, you bring more stress into your body, you reduce oxygen into your body, you're reducing oxygen, because when you nose breathe, you increase oxygen uptake. So when you mouth breathe, you reduce oxygen, which means you need to breathe more, which means you bring more stress into your body by, and your mouth is in poor mouth posture. So get practicing nose breathing. Sometimes you just have to,
especially on walks and
Yes.
doing any other forms of activity except for swimming, of course. If you can go on the endeavor of nose breathing strictly, you will not lose fitness. You'll gain fitness, you'll gain strength, you'll gain power, you'll gain endurance, you'll gain muscle, you'll lose body fat, you will be more efficient in your fitness.
Absolutely. And I looked up, if you look up online, how do you get rid of body fat out of your body? It says right when you research it that you breathe out like over 90% of your body fat. You breathe it out.
And it's in a ratio that's proper, coming in and out of the nose. The carbon
yes.
dioxide and oxygen release and intake is in a perfect ratio through the nose, not through the mouth.
Right. And so when you're training and you're nose breathing and you're in a state of calm in your body, you'll be more consistent with your training, and then you will also increase that oxygen, and oxygen is going to burn that body fat. It's going to fuel your muscles, which is going to burn your body fat. And so keep your mouth closed, and that's your third superpower. Your fourth superpower is your nutrition, following your fuel rule, which we already talked about, following a glucose-based diet. Your primary source, preferred, it's your primary,
primary.
Yes, fuel source for all of your organs in your body, or your secondary fuel source, which is fat. And that's your backup plan if your carbohydrates are down below 50, even down to 30. And as soon as you eat carbs over 30 to 50 grams, your body will revert back to being a glucose focused fuel, adapted or not adapted, but it will use glucose for the fuel. So now you have all this fat that you're eating, and your body doesn't know what to do with it because it's going to use glucose for fuel. So then that's going to store that fat. So you have to do one or the other from our experience. You don't get to interchange your fats and your carbs.
And it's not all or nothing. There's a little bit
Right,
of a
this
balance
is from what we
with
learned.
it.
And then there's also that new diet, the carnivore diet, and that's an animal protein diet. And I feel like that's like the new latest diet. That's the third option that we have, where we don't eat fats really, or we don't eat carbs, we just eat the protein. But on this diet, from what I researched, you do also have fat in that diet. But you do reduce dairy and sugar for sure, but you eat mainly animal protein. And so I don't know much about that, but I can see that there's always a new thing that comes out, and if it kind of aligns with keeping the digestion strong, then it's going to prove to have benefits. And so we will see all of the new diets that come along, but I think following a glucose-based diet or a fat-based diet is pretty simple and will change your life. So that's your fourth superpower. Your fifth one is, or that could have been, so we've got hydration, jumping instead, nose breathing, nutrition, and then cycle syncing. So if you are still having your cycle, you need to track your cycle. We like the Oura Ring. You can also use other apps and stuff, watches that can track your cycle. You need to understand where you are in your cycle, because each phase of your cycle are like the seasons of the month or of the year. So there's the winter, spring, summer, fall, every month for a woman. And when you're in certain phases, you're more primed for weight loss, and then you're more primed for recovery, and you are also feeling less bloated. Some
parts of the month and more bloated, and also feeling more energized and more confident and secure, and less energized, less confident, and less secure with yourself. And when you understand those seasons, then you don't get discouraged when you're down, and you really can take action when you're up and ready to really go after your weight loss goals. So with Alisa Vitti and her cycle syncing book, she would say that in a perfect world, you would lose your weight during your
The first 2 weeks.
spring and summer, and then you would stabilize during fall and winter, and then you would lose weight and stabilize, lose weight, and this is how you get ahead. The reason why we often find ourselves not getting ahead and we stay the same weight month after month after month is because we get ahead and then we get behind
and we get
end
stressed.
up and stressed. We get ahead, we're feeling confident. Why do I feel like I have all the energy and confidence in the world? And then all of a sudden I feel like crap, and I'm mad at everyone, and I'm mad at myself, and I'm so stressed. Right back to where I started. And we go in this loop. When we learn the loop, we go after it hard, and then we chill and we accept that we're going to be feeling down. But if we can manage it, then we will be down weight each month.
And what about after
1 to 2 pounds.
after we have our cycles and we're in
Then when we're in perimenopause
post-menopause.
and menopause, that's when we need to embrace our superpowers to the max, staying calm in our nose breathing, staying focused on hydration, staying focused on regular exercise, and then our other superpowers, which I'll get into, to the absolute max, because menopause is, a certain window of time, and we really need to be sensitive during that time, and potentially, we're following Dr. Mary Claire and other
Stacey
doctors,
Sims.
that are talking about, taking hormone replacement therapy, and we don't know enough about it to recommend it or not recommend it, but we are all about doing whatever it takes to feel good. And so we are promoters of it. Do whatever makes you feel good, as long as the benefits outweigh the risks. So your fifth superpower, or your sixth superpower, is sleeping, prioritizing sleep. And I really do feel like when you start to bring all of these other superpowers into your life, sleep starts to kind of take care of itself, because you're finding balance with your hydration, your nose breathing, your exercise, your nutrition, you're going with your cycle, your sleep starts to kind of find its way. And then if we're getting regular sunlight, that's your seventh superpower. And these aren't in exact order, but when you're also getting some sunlight, whether that's a 10-minute walk a few times a week, or just getting some sun exposure, it helps you with your circadian rhythm, and that will help you with your sleep. One of the things I learned from Dr. Andrew Huberman was, if we actually look at the sky, just the sky, not the sun directly, but first thing in the morning, so sun, like when the sun is rising, and then we look at the sky when the sun is setting, it gives us light information that will help to set our circadian rhythm. So check out the sky. We even had a timer set on our Alexa device. And so we said, go check out the sunset at 6 p.m.
That helped us. We got on a schedule.
Every night we went out and off our back porch and looked out at the sun. And then in the morning we like to look out at the sun too. Like, I'll just peek out the window, just even for 5 seconds. I mean, even if it's just a little habit, this can help us set up our circadian rhythm.
If you have a watch that can remind you, that's a watch you can turn that notification off, because if Alexa goes off while you're gone,
Right.
then you'll be like leaving timers going off in your house all
True.
night. But a watch reminder might work out.
Sleep is such a big one. We've got to stop bleeding ourselves or bleeding our eyes into the night with TV. We've really got to cover our eyes and relax our bodies, even if we don't fall asleep right away. Sleep is so important. It really needs to be prioritized. Our seventh superpower, or sixth superpower, sunlight, and then mental health. This is the journal. This is when we can, make sure that we're staying socially connected, and even talking out loud to ourselves, and getting into a good book, whether it's the 4 Agreements or another book that can empower us. I mean, I know it's one thing to read like romance novels, which are wonderful. Again,
Or
when we
murder
have
mysteries.
murder mysteries, when we have our foundational health, we can read those books and have that be a hobby. But we also need to have a book going where when we even just read a sentence or a chapter, maybe we follow Abraham Hicks or Eckhart Tolle or Deepak Chopra or whoever your spiritual guides are, or if you have a spiritual practice, make sure that you involve yourself with your spiritual practice as many times as you can in the week to remind yourself that you're a worthy person on this planet and you are not a victim, but that you are here to be great and to live out your purpose. And we need you here. We need what you have to offer. And so we want you to go after what you came here on this earth to do. And that will make you feel strong. And not only will rebounding make you have good posture, but we want you to stand with your posture and feel proud with your heart open and feeling all of that willpower that you need to feel in order to go after your dreams and your goals and be the best you can be. And this is a huge part of weight loss, of fat loss. Because if you have a not so positive mental attitude, then you could be setting yourself up for failure every day, even though everything else is aligned for you to reach your weight loss goals. But just because you give yourself put down first thing in the morning, your whole day could be off instead of waking up and saying, I am so awesome. And maybe you need to start doing random acts of kindness so then you can have something to pat yourself on the back about. I feel so good that I did that. I picked up something for someone or whatnot and what have you. You get it, and we want that for you. A very happy, healthy mental health. So, all right, I want to get into more about, the next section that I have here, and then I think it's going to lead into your section, is perfect balance with nutrition, because we do have a balance that we're looking for with fuel versus fiber and water, because in our stomachs we have nutrient receptors and stretch receptors. So we need to meet our fuel needs. When it comes to weight loss, we often can revert to the old saying, eat less, move more. And that may be true if we're consuming more fuel than we need, but our body needs a certain amount of volume every day as well. So let's just say each meal your stomach wants this much volume, and in that volume you need there to be a certain amount of fuel. It is your job to figure out how much fuel that is and how much volume you need.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Maybe I could let you take it from here.
Yeah,
because I took a bunch of notes, but I've been talking this whole time, and I know Trophy Steffi has incredible things to say about this. Follow her on Instagram. I'm inspired. She is giving you dialogue. Trophy Steffi, Stephie, and she is giving you daily dialogue on her diet. She is so good. She pulls her phone out and films, and so I'll let you take it away because you're absolutely fabulous.
I know. So we have, a yin and yang approach to our menu, or to how we eat. We have a unique experience because we both kind of approach it in an opposite way, but yet we still eat similar foods, if not identical foods. It's like we're identical, we're one, but we're also two on opposite sides of the coin. And so that's a great introduction. Thank you. I am on Instagram in the stories. I'm not necessarily posting every single day, but I am very encouraged to post more of my dialogue and mindset when it comes to weight loss, because I feel like my insight, maybe, I don't know if it can relate to more of you, because like I said, we have two different ways of approaching it, and my desire to share is because I feel that my message is going to connect you with something so unique and so profound when it comes to plating yourself and when it comes to really helping with your relationship with food, because I have a unique, we can relate on this same level with our relationship with food. I tend to be someone who can overeat easily and putting more food into my body than I need, and this has prevented weight loss, or it's stalled weight loss at times in my life. And we both, have had that experience too. It's not like she hasn't experienced that, but I just have a unique perspective that I love to share. And so I'm just going to start by saying, I've structured a meal plan for myself over the course of the last 10 years. I've structured my meal plan over and over again on my journey. And what weight loss came down to was determining about how many meals, so first, if you have your pen and paper, it's to first determine how many meals and snacks I need in the day, based on my intuition and based on my environment, or just, my work schedule or whatever. I had to actually answer that question, like how many meals and how many snacks in the day really works for me. Not what someone else is telling me, like, is it 6 or 8 meals a day or 2 meals a day? Maybe it's, like I said, based on intuition and based on the lifestyle circumstance. Let's kind of hone in on what is our internal deep desire and our preference, and what does our lifestyle, or what does our life situation kind of align us with. What seems like easy world? Just narrowing it down to how many meals, how many snacks. Let's figure that out. And so eating the foods that so in each meal, I'm eating the foods that I either absolutely love. So planning that these meals are meals that I love, because that's important, that we're eating food we love, not just food that someone else tells us to eat. It's food that we love, because we're talking about a sustainable way of eating, right? Or the other plan B, when we are choosing the food we eat in each meal, is based on the flow and going with the flow, because sometimes the flow is the environment is just giving us no option, or the flow is I'm changing my mind last minute. Maybe that's intuitive, or maybe that's just my inner desire to eat something different. But I want to talk about something like that too. And so figuring out how many meals in the day, snacks in the day that works for us, and then making each plate the foods that we love, and kind of aligning with, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. Let's just, maybe we're going to say, I love this food or this meal at breakfast, maybe a couple options. I love this food or this meal at lunch and dinner, and so forth. And these are the snacks that I love. So making my plate balanced in my own unique way. So she's talking about a fuel focus. So which starch, I'm just going to speak on the behalf of Starch menu, because that's the menu I follow. Which starches align with each time of day or so, and then noticing or deciding, maybe determining on paper, what are the perfect side dishes or decorations to this starch that really make this meal taste good and make that spark joy for me. When I say that I want to love my meal to the moon and back, I don't want this meal to be out of balance when it comes to social, mental, and physical health. I want this meal to have a balance where I'm actually acknowledging my fuel needs, acknowledging how long I want to be held over, but I'm acknowledging my social environment, the eyes coming my way from over there, and the judgments coming my way from over there potentially, depending on the environment, the home environment we're living in, and also our inner dialogue. Are we judging ourselves going, this is strict, like this isn't gonna work? We have to be like owning it, owning what we're eating, going, yes, I could do this every single day. It doesn't have to be exactly the same thing every single day, every week, every month, because it evolves. Evolution, okay? Let it evolve. I've learned that. I had to learn that. Evolution. It's not about sticking to something and then starting to create a tab and being like, oh, I've got, this many years under my belt of eating this meal, and then hey, if your results are spot on, maybe you've nailed it. But if you are someone who's driven towards something and you kind of have this like attachment to it, but it's not really doing the job, you might need to question it. You might need to say, is this working? So that factors in. So figuring out the plate fuel rule, figuring out, and then the decorations. To me, the decorations are fruit and veg to my starch, fruit and veg, and toppings or seasonings such as fat and seasonings. And so for me, it would be just the right amount of a fat source that makes my starch so good, and that could include dairy products if I choose. I choose margarine. Some people, or for my butter source, I choose margarine. Some people reach out and they suggest just dairy, and I won't say anything to that. I'll just say I'm choosing margarine for now.
They suggest dairy, or they ask if they can have dairy?
They suggest it to me.
Because it's healthier than margarine.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to talk more about that. And then plant cheeses is another option. You know, there could be like plant mayo or the standard fats that really are attractive to, say, a standard American diet. These foods that really make food so good, like cheese, like butter, like cream. Let's be real, folks. Let's be honest that these foods are the food or the toppings on starch that make or break our starch-based diet. If we go crazy on the fats, we're not honoring the fuel rule. And if we sprinkle them lightly, we're nailing the satisfaction of the meal while honoring the fuel rule. And the sprinkling or the decoration can be the word you use, because really do that. Embody that word when you're making your meal. Sprinkle or decorate your meal to make it just right with fruits, with vegetable additions, and with seasonings, and with fats. Decorate. Have the starch be the main event if you're doing the starches.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
So with fruits and veggies though, because I want to note that they do digest at different speeds than the fuel itself. Starches, for example, fruit for one, can sometimes cause disruption in digestion when mixed with glucose, and vegetables also can disrupt satiation with our fuel needs. And I know that you're probably going to get into that, but because you're mentioning it right now, I just wanted to know, are you saying you have to add fruits and veggies to your glucose plate?
No. Good point. But I think I can go back and forth and back and forth. And ultimately, when I do a pure starch meal and it works, I think that there are going to be meals and days and moments when I think that just aligning with the starch focus without so much decoration, give yourself the freedom of and the choice in the moment of allowing for decorations or for not having decorations, because there's many moments or meals or snacks where I will have cereal with almond milk, and that's the decoration. It's almond milk.
Yeah.
It's not adding fruit and vegetables and fats.
Right.
Not at all. Or it's a piece of toast with some cinnamon and sugar on it, and I do not need to add fruit and vegetables. And so, like she pointed out, the fruit and vegetables is glorious as decoration, especially when you're connecting with family, friends, and maybe just your most balanced mental self when you're creating a plate. But there are certain circumstances and scenarios where it's actually better that you question just how much fruit and vegetable you need, because that's a belief. You might be thinking that their strategy with fruit and vegetables, whether it be by nutrition or reducing overall calories of the meal. And so I'm going to get into that.
Real quick though, why would we add fruits and vegetables if we're focused on the fuel and the fuel is coming from the starches? Because the fruits and veggies add hydration.
They decorate.
And they add flavor.
They add balance. They add real world plate. Yeah. They add what looks like a normal meal. I think normalcy in our approach of food is balanced, and I think that balance can also be a kind of a simplified, and simplified should actually be, write that down. Simplicity could be the switch we make in order to maybe even ease our digestion to a more extreme level. If we have kind of maybe tendencies to have indigestion, it could be that we do need more simplicity, and we need a little bit less variety in our decorations, a little less decorations, a little bit focused more on the simplicity of the starch.
So real quick, if you're like a mother and you're preparing food for your child, whatever their age, you might notice that you're wanting to give them a variety of a starch and some fruit and some veggies, and maybe you want to also do that for yourself. So that's what the idea is to where we might think of a balance, because in
Kinda
variety.
like gives us a buffet.
Because as we get older, maybe sandwiches and chips start to seem normal and social, not necessarily some grapes and some broccoli and a little sandwich and maybe a little.
I love the decoration
box.
of balance when it comes
Yeah.
to it. Chips and soda and fries, things that would be a typical, maybe chemical-ridden food or a fast food of some sort or a side dish that wouldn't be considered healthy to the average person. Sometimes those are the exact foods we need to decorate our meal with in order to be very happy and feel balanced and feel like our approach is sustainable on all levels. And then we make tweaks as we go, and it's just it's an ongoing evolution. But we both have chips.
Yes.
Weekly.
We pay
And
attention.
soda.
Yes. And we pay attention to how our body responds, and then we stay in an honest communication with ourselves. If we have a soda with our healthy sandwich or healthy starch, and we notice that the soda doesn't make us feel our best, but it was served its purpose, then maybe the next time we don't have the soda, or we have juice, or we just have water or no water.
Oh, if you've had a bad reaction to the
Yes.
soda, then you need
Well,
to
that's
be
trial and error, everything.
transparent about that to yourself, for sure. So the satiation cue, finding myself. Okay, so we talked about the decorations. So finding myself at mealtime, consistently feeding myself wholesome, balanced meals, and staying as present as possible with honoring satiation and hunger cues. So finding myself honoring the amount of meals I typically eat, kind of being on my schedule. This is how I've approached food, because we have a little bit of a different approach. Finding the consistency with making sure that I'm fed, but making sure that each meal has just enough of its balance in order to really satisfy me. So I'm eating the meal that makes me happy, that makes me feel good, it makes me feel at ease in my body and in my digestion, because I'm taking notes as I go, and I'm being consistent. And this is really the big banger here, is that the hunger is there before I eat, and then I'm dialing into satiation toward the end of the meal. So this is where I really started dialing down the weight, and I started really connecting to weight loss, and that is the satiation cue or cues at the end of a meal. There are actually more satiation cues that I won't even be, they won't be here in my dialogue, because they kind of come and go, and there's many, that you might be experiencing. But one cue that I can explain or share with you is that towards the end of the meal, there can be toward the end of the meal while we're eating, and we kind of know, it's almost like, first of all, the intuition is, we start to feel that there's an intuition that we're getting toward the end of our feeding session. This intuition can sometimes pair with a shift in our palate, where the food, either flavor or texture or just the desire for exactly what we're eating, shifts. So it literally is 100% of the time when I have put a bite in my mouth and I go, it doesn't taste the same, or the texture is off, meaning it's maybe too dry, or it's too greasy, or there's just, who knows, right? Depending on what we're eating. Or all of a sudden I'm going, I'm not in the mood for this anymore. These are a satiation cue where I believe that 100% of the time, this is your palate saying, it's your palate telling you, your digestion telling your palate, telling your brain that you are finished. Doesn't mean necessarily 100% black and white that you are done eating, because sometimes something else needs to happen. Some other food needs to come in next.
Like a sweet.
But don't let me confuse you, because usually when we have our balanced plate that we're very happy with and satisfied with, and it's decorated just right, and we're at our typical meal time, and everything's fine and aligned, then when we hit that point in the switch in our taste bud, and we stop and we put the fork down, this done consistently, day after week after month after month after month, is when transformation happens. When I keep passing and overriding, and I don't even feel or connect to or desire to honor that the moment, or there's a range, okay? At the end of the meal, there's probably, I'm not gonna say how many bites specifically, but there's probably 5 bites or 3 bites where it's all in that gray area, and we're okay in that gray area as far as, so we don't have to be like, it's 1 bite or bust. It's a gray area right there at the end of the meal. And if we can, I think what this point, stopping at this point, would be considered what we've all heard of as the 80% full. And if we can nail that, if as many times as possible, it doesn't have to be perfect science, but if we can nail that as much as possible, for me, this is what really connected me with what felt like something new for me, which was lightness. I was satiated and fed 100%. At 80%, 100%. But then the lightness, all of a sudden the lightness took over, because the opposite of lightness, which what I was doing and which was causing maintenance or weight gain, was heaviness in my stomach. And it was simply because my digestion only had a quota of so much, and I just kept going just over or way over my digestion's quota. When it comes to the portions of, so I'll get into the starch portion. Get to know, when it comes to starches, get to know the true starch portion for a happy tummy. We have faced this with all the starches. Oatmeal was one of the first starches I remember weighing out, and I remember trying the 90 grams, weighing out at 90 grams, and then I thought 90 was perfect amount, and then I tried 100. I literally went through a day or two where I thought 100 was right, and then day 3 I was like, I am bloody stuffed after 100. And then maybe day 2, and the next day, bloody stuffed again. Whoa, 100 is way too much. And then I went down to 80. And then I think, seriously, again and again, I kept experimenting. And then I hit like 60 or 70. And then 70 was the number of grams of oats that really nailed my starch portion of oats. So we need to, as starch, enthusiasts, as brand new to the starch menu, or, maybe you're already on a starch menu, nailing starch portions made such a big difference for me. And oatmeal, rice, potatoes. Potatoes are a high volume, high water food. And sometimes volume can play a role, our emotional past with volume. And so potatoes are, sometimes I want to say tricky. I eat them almost every single day, but sometimes they're tricky because they're so high volume and low calorie that we kind of are playing with the volume card when we eat potatoes. Just something to consider. I think that when it comes to getting to know ourselves on a starch-based diet, it's a huge shift in our diet. It's a huge shift in our lives. I think that we are allotted a phase of time where we portion or weigh out the portions or the starch portions that we're getting to know in order to align with the eyeballing of the food. Because ultimately we want to eyeball. We do not want to get the scale out and weigh our food, and we can if we want to. But eyeballing is ultimately what we need to do in order to know, like they say, a deck of cards for this or a fistful for that. We need to know what a typical portion that our diet, like I said with the oatmeal, if it was 60 grams, I need to serve myself that 60 for the most part, knowing that I can always add more food if I need to my stomach, and I can always leave food on my plate if I need to because my palate changes. But that go-to portion is not going to bite me in the butt like I experienced when I was gaining weight or maintaining weight, is that I was just mentally fixed on a portion that was too much for my digestion. And so figuring out the starch portions, bread, sliced bread, we enjoy bread and cereal. Sliced bread made me have an easier time figuring out the quantity of bread that works perfectly for me, because the slices are a portion. And I was like able to determine how many slices I needed in order to hit the spot every time, because making my own bread and having a chunk of bread, it ultimately, there was experiments where I would just cut my eyeballs in the beginning, and I would weigh it out, and it was like the equivalent of 4 slices of bread, when my tummy typically will need 2, maybe 3 slices of bread at once. And so just to understand or get to know your starch portions. This is was a huge breakthrough for me. This was weight loss every single week, 1 month. That wasn't a tease. That wasn't a tease. It was just like it did. This was just a breakthrough for me, and there were little, maybe little desserts or snacks I had to incorporate, because I'm learning and I'm just discovering my overall appetite. But getting to know the amount of meals and snacks I eat, this can also evolve. Let's be in the evolution of life and just let it evolve. Getting to know the amount of meals in the day, and then being consistent. Meal prepping, however, cereal and bread come in really handy for us. We can tolerate gluten just fine, and cereal and bread happens to be a really fast food that is high fiber and high starch and higher in protein. And so we embrace it, and we actually feel like we thrive by eating this wheat as a preferred grain. And there are many cereals we like. We like grape nuts, we like shredded wheat, both frosted and unfrosted. We do like oat-based cereals like Honey Bunches of Oats or multi-grain oats, or there's Chex or rice cereals or Honey Bunches of Oats, and just cereal. We don't want to overcomplicate it too much when it comes to it, because I'm thinking that for me, it's about not putting in more than my tummy is needing in the moment. That really sets me free and connects me to happy tummy, which she talked about, digestion health and digestion happiness, but it goes so much farther than that. It goes into, where did I write it? A naturally homeostatic hormone release post-meal, because joy in the gut after a meal, because we've nailed the portion and we didn't stress the digestion, it leads to homeostasis and hormone releases after the workout. Mm-hmm. It leads after the meal. Yeah. It leads to alignment with the cycle, because we're in a different hormone balance in the cycle, which causes appetite to shift. Mm-hmm. So imagine if you're in a part of the cycle that your appetite is lower and you keep aligning with that, you're supporting hormone balance in the lower hormone production part of the month. And if you're actually, if you align with that, your energy needs are higher, or your appetite is higher, and you're aligned with that, then you're again supporting hormone function and hormone release and hormone balance. When you're, eating just the right amounts all throughout the month as much as possible, getting to know the month and how the appetite shifts just by being present toward the end of the meal. This also leads to less inflammation, like she talked about, which I think that when we have our water weight fluctuations throughout the month, these water weight fluctuations can stay in their optimal range rather than out of optimal range, and get to a more bloated or more inflamed state just by stressing out the stomach. We will lower cortisol levels and have less stress in our body. And there are appetite hormones like I talked about. Those are in more regulation. This equates to more positive self-talk, because we're feeling happiness. Like, I am so ready to admit that being either in a weight loss journey or being at my ideal weight can really help me feel happy overall. Because it's not necessarily that I'm happy, I'm weigh this much, or I look this way. Is that I am likely having a happy second brain down here, which really does play a huge role in mental health. Mental health. And this leads to better sleep, better sex, etc. Better sex hormones, just balance in the body, just all by aligning with the amount, our digestive happiness, and getting to know our starch portions, and then staying consistent. If we understand hunger cues, and they're personal for each, because hunger cues are also part of the equation, that everyone's hunger cues might be slightly different. Maybe getting into your journal and asking yourself, what are my hunger cues? Just writing that down. All of a sudden, it's like you've studied. It's like you've you've opened up a textbook, and now you've read information that you have written out from your own brain, from your own body. That's what journaling is. It's literally creating a textbook. So when you open up your own journal, it's the textbook. It's the answers. It's the information. We ask ourselves questions, write out the answers, and then this can guide us on our journey. So staying true to consistency and noticing the choices, the food choices we make, will actually be what we deeply desire, rather than getting behind in hunger. So what did I mean by this? We want to stay consistent with our eating as much as possible. Like, I can admit too, when I'm in my meal plan and I'm doing my best to align with my typical feeding schedule, sometimes like my appetite will shift around, and sometimes I can notice that I'm a little bit hungry, like I'm hungrier than normal, and having something ready to go, like being prepared for the moments where you're hungry on the at the drop of a dime, just being prepared for that. Write that down. Prepare yourself for those moments. That's why cereal can come in really handy, or bread, just folding a piece of bread in half and having a little bit of butter and jam on it or something. That can just be, let's get some food in the body, right? And then, I think what happens too, if we're not consistent with, fuel times, or making sure we're just getting in our fuels, is that we get behind, is that because this happens to me too. If I get behind in my fuel, schedule, or my fuel needs, or I get really distracted, all of a sudden I'm too hungry. You know what? All of a sudden I hear from my universe. It's density. I need high density food, and that's because my body is beyond what the point at which I need to feed it. This is when I get behind, like actually behind. What I need to I want to try to avoid that and be ready for food, be ready with the fuel I want. And when I do that, I end up when I actually get ahead, not ahead, but when I'm on it and I'm prepared and I'm ready to go, not only do I keep my body more balanced, but I also end up eating what I want to eat. Like I mentally, physically, emotionally feel connected to the starches, connected to the foods that I know are healthy for me, that promote a positive, like a healthy body weight and healthy metabolism, all these things. And when I allow myself to get too hungry, and then all of a sudden maybe I do end up eating the high density, it's mental, and I don't want to be eating that density, like say nuts, for instance, or ice cream, or it just doesn't. I don't have to tell you all the things that we end up feeling worthy of all of a sudden because we're too hungry. We need to stay on our starches and be consistent. And then if we do get to a point too where we go beyond and we're eating a meal and we go past that point where we're now too full, this can also lead to the same result. It can literally lead us into a drive for density, because now we feel ashamed of ourselves or guilty, or feeling like we made a mistake. This actually doesn't necessarily cause us to go into a fast for several hours. For those of us who have been more of an overeater, for me, I notice that overeating does not lead to a long fast. Overeating can sometimes lead to an imbalance, and I end up continuing the overfeeding, feel of desire. So it's a lose-lose to get behind or to get ahead. So we also don't want to feel ashamed or guilty in either circumstance as we learn. And guess what? Life is learning. Life is connection of learning and connecting with our evolving needs. So I just want to say with depression of the digestion, because when the digestion is depressed, right, we can be mentally depressed, because mentally depressed here, but a different way of associating depressed without the mental health, the depression, another way of describing it would be something that is lowered or pushed down, or experiencing low economic activity or hardship. So don't look at it like we are mentally depressed, like I'm depressed because I overate, or something along those lines. Instead, just be okay with it, and be kind, self-talk, positive self-talk. Just know that depressed digestion isn't personal, and this is part of the equation. It's part of life. And some people don't think twice about overeating. They're like, and they just are a happy belly, and they don't get emotionally attached. Some people don't. But if you're one of those people that do get emotionally attached to meaning you get depressed in here from overeating, that could be an awesome opportunity to go in there and switch the dialogue to positivity. What did I learn? Hi, how are ya? Get to know ya. What a perfect lesson I just learned. Don't let the depression be something that drags you down. Let that depression, that non-personal depression in your gut, lift you up and teach you a really important lesson that you needed to learn more than you realized. I need to learn them too. I'm in the same boat. And so I guess I'm getting to that point now where the beliefs, recognizing beliefs about our food and our quantity choices, and really going into the journal and questioning our truest beliefs about all the food items we love. Maybe we write a list. What are the foods I like? Write them down. What are the foods I love? Write them down. You might even write a little note about what your beliefs are, because maybe some of these foods you've been told are bad for you. And so you want to look at it, and you might go, I thought that about that. Like, wow, like the reputation bread has. Write it out. But the foods that, the examples of things your beliefs could be about your volume that you like to eat, the pesticides that are added to the foods, the chemicals that are in the foods, whether it's refined or processed, if it's bad, considered bad, if it has sugar or just sugar itself. Animal products, maybe you're in that mindset where you're not sure about dairy or animal products or gluten. Carbs, maybe that's where your thinking is right now. What's your belief about carbs? Writing it down. Maybe your belief about how many meals you want to eat in a day. Someone's telling you that intermittent fasting is the answer. Maybe intermittent fasting, IF, could be something you question, or just at least write down what your beliefs are about these things. If you do this, you will be a different person tomorrow. And when it comes down to weight loss, it comes down to changing the mindset. Everyone will agree to that. The mindset needs to change. Journaling is a way to shift the mindset, and it's so easy and it's fun. Man, get your pen and paper, get your beautiful blanket and a hot drink, and journal and write. My favorite thing to do is just talk about or write out, all the things you want to write out about food and your beliefs about it, and question it and look at it and go, I wonder how my life's going to change and evolve from this moment on. It might not be that you have answers. That's not what I'm saying. It has to come out of it. Just write it out like you're creating the textbook for yourself, and get to know yourself. Get to know your inner dialogue. The last, or a couple more things, post-meal movement. When you hit the nail on the head with that portion, post-meal movement is so fun and so rewarding, and it doesn't feel like you're doing it out of, oops, I ate too much, I need to move my body, which is an option for you for sure if you put in too much food. But like post-meal movement, I think is a standard when it comes to someone on a weight loss diet, when they go ahead and spend 5 to 10 minutes after meals, as we should, to help regulate the body, to help get the body into motion, nose breathing. This is really healthy. This isn't a way for you to cheat or get ahead or do something, unsustainable or drastic. This is how you lose weight. It's you eat the right portions and you continue to get your moving in throughout the day. And notice that you're not doing it in an obsessive way, or you're not having like a hard rule. This is, non-negotiable. It's just something you should at least have written down on your notes, be aware of, that a 5 to 10 minute movement, whether it be a gentle, easy nose breathing walk, or maybe you play a gentle, I'm challenging you to play a slow song or relaxing music, jazz music, or maybe jazz, I don't know about jazz. Something that's just calming and relaxing and maybe stretching. You can get on your rebounder and do a gentle movement, but this would be post meals or at any time in the day, morning and evening. The frequent movement in the day, so important. You'll feel you'll feel yourself losing weight when you're nailing your portions, you love what you eat, and you're feeding yourself, you're staying ahead, you're prepared, and you're moving more. It's a win, 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 win. And so someone asked me, what do we do when we dine out? Because we're focused on starches, we feel like the main starches out there would be potatoes, bread, and rice, or corn chips, right? So fries
and beans.
We're not talking about beans, because what we're thinking more so is like the bread basket. So I'm talking about what we eat when we dine out, right? So we got the bread basket, or we got fries, or we got corn chips like at Mexican restaurants, or bread or rice that is happening a lot in Asian style restaurants. So we do our best, if we can, when we're choosing a meal at a restaurant, is we find the starch. Whatever the starch option is, we find it. Corn chips wouldn't be considered the starch choice if we're at a Mexican restaurant, because we can probably do beans and rice meal to some degree. But what we allow, or what I'm thinking is what you're asking, or what you want to hear is what we allow is oil, if that's our only option. We don't also go out of our way to say we will require that there is no oil present on the meal. We notice if it's possible that oil can be left off, and we're just kind of chill with it. And we're also chill with having the oil. But the starch and the oil, that's our focus, and our goal is to at least have like a starch option, like bread. Bread baskets are perfect because they're usually just plain bread. And then fries are, only good if they're thick cut fries. Like, we just love thick cut fries because the skinny fries feel like they're just pure oil versus a thick cut fry, which is more starch, right? So anyway,
Why wouldn't corn chips be in the exact same line as French fries?
they absolutely are. But so if fries are the only starch option, like potatoes, if there's nothing else, rice or bread, then French fries it is. Usually there's something else or a starch. We usually will find ourselves too looking at the sides, the side options, and there might be some vegetable sides, and usually we just order as is, and unless there's a way to get the sauce on the side, but we're not crazy about it. We're not like, we don't want to be, we don't want to annoy ourselves and require too much of the staff to fix our food. We just want to honor the appetite that we're bringing to the meal and do our best to just eat it slowly and mindfully and enjoy it, with the focus on starches and the focus on, allowing fats. And then once in a while, we will have a meat dish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess you left beans out, but beans are a huge part of where we go when we eat Mexican food, and also Thai food and sushi. And so are you talking about restaurants that don't have options other than just like fries as a starch option, because it's a very like maybe steakhouse kind of?
Beans are great.
We can choose restaurants. We can choose restaurants that we know have beautiful starch
I suppose
options.
edamame would be an awesome starchy
Sushi?
bean. Where's the beans in sushi meal?
No beans. I'm just talking about any restaurant. You said, what do we eat when we dine out? You can pick any restaurant, and you can always go to your same favorite restaurant. But if you go to a restaurant that you maybe don't pick, and so you look at the menu and you see, you know what, they don't have a burrito, they don't have sushi, they don't have Thai food, they don't have these dishes that are very high starch, low fat. So now what are my backup plans? This would be the fries, this could be corn chips. Bread basket is already at the top of good options. And then salad too, if we're wanting something light and crispy, if it's not drenched with fat and stuff. But you can always eat bread too before you go out, but we want your stomach to be comfortable. So whatever gives you optimal digestion.
So she's making a great point. Obviously, if you're going to a restaurant where you know that the starch option is there, yes. But when we just go out to eat with a random menu in front of our faces, find the starch, see if you can, and then go with the flow. If that's what you choose to do, because you might choose not to go with the flow, or you might, like she said, eat before the meal or do anything you desire.
And then as you get stronger in your digestion and in your muscle strength through your rebounding or through your exercise, and also your hormones are more balanced, you are reaching your weight loss goals, then you really can have anything you want on occasion and get right back to your high fuel diet, because it's not always starch, sometimes it's fat. And maybe with ketosis, you don't necessarily want to go off track, because you'll revert back to using glucose as your fuel, and that could take 3 days for you to get back into ketosis. So it can be a little bit trickier with ketosis, but when you're on a glucose focused diet, you can go off plan and have a higher fat or even a higher protein if you're craving some protein, and then you can go back to high fuel, low fat, low disruption in your digestion, meaning you're now keeping your digestion optimal. And then obviously doing all of this with the foundation of hydration and regular movement. And especially with weight loss, like she said, you do want to see yourself potentially moving more, and know that with your everything coming into balance, all of this will happen more and more effortlessly.
Yes.
You will notice you're moving more. You will notice you're sleeping better. You'll notice it's becoming easier to align with your meal portions and with your favorite starches that you're cycling through regularly, weekly and monthly, yearly. You're noticing now years are going by and you're going with the seasons. As soon as squashes come into season, you're grabbing the squashes, and as soon as it's summer, you're grabbing more melons, and you're always just going with the seasonal flow. You're staying consistent and you're jumping. Your digestion is just getting so incredibly strong, and you're feeling more confident in bringing yourself into balance whenever you get off balance, and also maintaining balance. And that's what I really want to emphasize and stress, is that it comes easier and easier. Life is not meant to be difficult. Life is meant to be easy. And when you get that strength in your balance by just practicing your superpowers, then your confidence will grow, and that is your hormones balancing. Know that the stronger you feel in your body management and bringing yourself into balance, you're literally tuning into your hormones. And so you and your hormones are connected mentally. If you're feeling out of control, if you're feeling not confident in your balance, that means your hormones are shifted. It's okay. Practice your balancing mechanisms. Know that when you're balanced in your body, through rebounding, nose breathing, hydration, nutrition, sleep, sunlight, all of the above, self care, your hormones are going to beautifully come into balance, and everything is going to come with ease.
She makes an amazing point. And I think it relates exactly the same to strength in muscles.
Yes.
The stomach muscle, but like as the muscles adapt to more and more mind to muscle connection and potentially resistance, same goes with the habits we build with our consistency, with our menu, and with the strength of our digestion, the strength of our mental fortitude. It's like the strength continues to improve over and over, or as we go more and more, and so our confidence builds up, and that aligns with our body's ability to handle and process and just become more efficient. I have one more thing to say,
and then we'll answer
some questions.
Thanks for waiting this long.
I have to share this. This is on my Trophy Steffi account on Instagram. My new favorite porridge, if you've ever wanted a hot grain meal that is unique, I would suggest this. It's very interesting. It's, I can't give you exact portions because you and your portion will be unique, but half water, half juice in a saucepan. Let's just call a portion out just first, just to help you. 1 cup of each, 1 cup of juice, 1 cup of water, and then add 2 servings of cereal, such as shredded wheat or grape nuts. And so you put this in the saucepan with the juice, water, and the wheat or the cereal, and then bring it to warmth or like a little tiny bit of a simmer, and then turn the heat off. Let it sit for a couple minutes, and then this could be made with any cereal. It could be made with corn flakes or corn cereal or rice cereal, oats. It's the same thing as oatmeal, but it's made with juice and water rather than milk. But not that nothing's wrong with milk. I'm giving you just a new recipe. And then the toppings could be anything. A really interesting and lovely topping is like a spoonful of butter or margarine in my case at this time, and just 1 little spoonful of margarine on this beautiful porridge. It's so delicious. It's unique. It's high in fiber. It's high in protein, specifically with the shredded wheat or the grape nuts, and it is delicious and just new. It's new to my menu, and I love it because I can have cereal with almond milk, which is our preferred milk source, which is unsweetened or sweetened almond milk. And we love all these whole grain cereals, sugar being ideally the second ingredient, at least, if not further down the ingredients list. But a hot cereal is just so fun, and you got to try it. It's just delicious. And find your perfect portion, and find also the liquid to cereal ratio that works perfectly for you, and you will love it if you ever give it a try.
So yes, we have grains like cereals, and we love oatmeal on occasion, and then all the cereals we enjoy almond milk with our cereals, and then we also enjoy toast. Yeah. I tend to have almond milk, and she's always ahead of me.
She hasn't tried it.
I haven't tried it yet, the juice, but like I said, she's always ahead of me, and I try new things once she lays the, she puts the faith in me. But but we also like sliced toast, and we like to put our plant butter and sugar on our sliced toast. Sometimes just plant butter, and then we also
and beans we'll have as a wonderful topping to our bread.
Wonderful topping. And we also like corn chips. We actually like to buy corn tortillas, and we'll put them in the air fryer, or we'll just buy corn chips. And then we also like potatoes of all varieties. I saw the question here about purple sweet potatoes. Yes, we have tried them. They are divine. And black rice as well. We did go through a black rice phase.
I have black rice going right now. It's like from Trader Joe's, and I do like mostly brown, and then a third of it is black. I am loving it. I think it's my new favorite way to eat brown rice, because the black is good.
It's so wonderful to explore all of the variety that we have available to us with our chosen menu, whether it's starches or it's fats, and to research it. So I do recommend ChatGPT. Go in and ask, what are all of the starches that are available to us? And then what are all the fat sources that are available to us, especially with higher in fiber, because fats, we want to, have more.
Oil is fine.
Well, it is, but not as the main source. Just like with glucose and with carbohydrate, we can have sugar, but sugar doesn't have any
you mean
fiber.
as the fuel source?
As a fuel source.
My apologies.
Yeah, with the fat-based diet.
When it comes to adding fats to the starches, we actually do gravitate toward margarine and plant cheese, which is oil-based.
I have no digestion issues with the plant butter. With the plant cheese, I can have only so much, and then I do have breakout. That's just something to keep in mind. I got a question on our last video talking about how we lost weight, and a podcast on protein, and someone asked, because I mentioned it in that video, when we started adding a little bit of fat into our glucose-based diet, because when we did first venture into a glucose-based diet, carbohydrate-based diet, starch-based diet, we kept our fats very, very low, and we noticed our hormones weren't as balanced. And as soon as we brought our fats up just enough, then we noticed more hormonal balance. And so we need to choose a fat source that keeps our digestion fast and smooth, as well as our skin clear. And so with cheese, if I have too much of it, then I can get breakouts. With the plant butter, I'm having no breakout and no indigestion. So if you're looking at having your high carbohydrate with your, under 50 grams or 30 grams of fat, because that's what I mentioned at the beginning, it could be a good starting point. Then figure out what fat source. It could be avocado for you that causes no indigestion and also causes no breakouts.
It could be nuts. It could be.
And you'll be good to go.
Nuts are kind of met with that protein factor, which we're not trying to avoid protein at all. It's just that the digestion might be a little different as far as, the ease of the digestion.
So all kinds of potatoes that we like, and then we also like rice and condiments of all kinds to enjoy our starches, and salt. We definitely don't limit salt, but we also notice that we don't want to have overwhelming amounts of salt, because that can make us thirstier and also
not as hydrated.
Not as hydrated, but also just the stimulation can almost get to a point where we don't really detect our satiety as much, our satiation signals, I should say. So everything in balance, right? But we keep the salt up so that or satisfied, because what happened when we ate too little salt was that we were eating more volume past comfort because we were needing more sodium, and sodium is a mineral. We need to meet our sodium needs as much as we need to eat our fuel needs, as much as we need to meet our fiber needs, and so we enjoy that. And then sugar is a lovely complement because it is a carbohydrate.
We do incorporate sugar as a condiment, and we have any and all types of seasonings, but we also have Redmond real salt, and we'll have Redmond real salt whenever we just, okay, it's time for, every
In
day
balance.
or most
Some
days
days.
or not, but we have all seasonings.
Okay.
And pastas and things like that.
And then I love
well.
lemonade and apple juice and orange juice.
Yeah, juice.
And soda occasionally. It's like, again,
See,
balance.
she's having juice, I'm having juice, we're having juice.
Okay, let's answer your questions. Thank you so much for your patience.
Did you experience any hair loss when you started losing weight? I can answer this. I experienced hair loss when I had a severe stress in my body. So when I went for a significant period of time where I was having severe stress in my body, that's when I had what I believed was hair loss, and it was nothing significant. I personally never had clumps come out. I just felt like maybe what was coming out was more than normal, and then I felt like maybe the thickness of my ponytail was not as thick as it was, and so I made the assumption that this was hair thinning. But then I was told, years later, I was told, if your hair is coming out, it's only gonna come, only so much will come out. And whatever it is that you're doing, whether it is a hormonal shift or stress, some sort of reaction to your approach, your lifestyle approach, only so much will come out, and then it's going to stop and start to regrow again. Do your best to not add more stress.
Yes.
We're not going to be the hair growth experts or tell you exactly how to prevent that stress, because stress comes in. But we do want to, we're telling you about the balance. But I faced stress. We both have. And we faced stress. So it's not like it's just been perfectly linear. But that's all we really have to say about that. But we do feel like we both kind of experienced, or I definitely can, I feel like I believe that. So how long did it take to see weight loss? I'll answer this real quick. Within the first year of switching to starch bases and switching to jumping, we lost 25 pounds year one. Then for 4 years, we plateaued due to overeating calories. We continued to jump. We were not connecting to our hunger and satiation cues and hormones in a manner that supported our weight loss goals for 4 years. Doesn't have to be your story. It was ours, unfortunately, or fortunately. And then after we got our heads on straight, at year 5, there was a 6-month period where we lost the second 25 pounds. So the answer really is within 1.5 years, we lost 50 pounds. Had it been a balanced approach, it would have maybe been a year and a half straight, or maybe 2 years, we'd have lost 50 pounds. But we had our overeating issues, and we don't have to, maybe presume just how long it will take, but that journal and these little lifestyle tips and superpowers will help us stay in that mental balance, that self-positive talk that we need in order to support us along our journey. So what adjustments, if any, do you recommend for the difference in requirements between men and women when it comes to the diet or to jumping? Adjustments, if any, do you recommend? Men and women, I think that it would just be to go inward and eat what sparks the most joy, and to train in a way that sparks the most joy. When it comes to meals and snacks throughout the day, I feel like that's the same with the approach with exercise. How many minutes a day do you want to jump? Or how many days a week do you want to jump? And this could be an evolution as well. It doesn't have to ever be permanent, but always just align with what sparks joy, no matter if you're a woman or a man, and connect with that in the moment. And know that you only have to be with your moment and be aligned with it, and then the moment can evolve as you go.
I'm thinking the main differences between men and women are potentially weight, if we're thinking or assuming that men are carrying some more muscle because they have more testosterone naturally, or in general, but men and women can be very similar in weight. So if there's a weight difference and a hormone difference, then it will come down to volume of food and or calories, I should say, and volume, and also intuitively what each individual will need, because a man isn't going through the same hormonal fluctuations that a woman is going through, so they will have different desire for their food choices versus a woman. A man, because that they're carrying, just maybe they're carrying more muscle, they might desire more density in a sense with their food choices. So and then if a woman is as athletic as she can be, she might be on the exact same page. Because for me, for example, I really find a good balance in my diet, and we went through it. The cereals, bread, and potatoes are my main three foods that I eat. I eat very minimal vegetable, and I eat only a few servings of fruit a week, if that. And so I noticed that my density is high, and it's because I feel that I don't have as much stomach volume as maybe she does,
Capacity?
or capacity. My stomach muscle is only so big, because that's another thing. We all have a stomach muscle size and strength. I would think that some of our stomachs can stretch out bigger than, maybe it's strength, overall strength. I think some of us have more room to fill up with volume, and then it shrinks back down and it fills up. So depending on what our exercise and typical diet is, we have that strength in our stomach. We might require different densities with our food. And so that's why we know that some are more volume eaters and they might eat lower density, versus me, I don't have as much stomach room, so I require higher density, which is why I eat reduced vegetables. So it's person to person on how strong their stomach is, how much their stomach can stretch, and then the hormonal fluctuations. We all have to go inward. That's why it's good to just have the variety available at home, know what your starch options are, and have them all, so that everyone in your house can. So she likes to have the meals planned and prepared to an extent and go with kind of more meal prepping or planning. And I like to be more intuitive and also graze a little bit sometimes. And so as long as I have all the options in the house, I'll go after whatever I'm craving in the moment.
She's a potato prepper queen, so I think she forgets.
I did ever since I bought 100 pounds of potatoes, but I've eaten many bowls of cereal and had many cans of beans just as a simple food, because it's there and easy, and also lots of rice. And so I'm just saying, we all need to just eat how is easy for us with our lifestyle flow and with what we're craving, whether that's meal prepping or going grazing and going more intuition, and then also eat what we crave or eat what flows with our lifestyle.
Definitely. Can you talk about your insights about your experience losing weight with jumping instead while eating the diet you chose for yourself? I think we faced beliefs about what we were supposed to eat, or the volumes, or the specific carbohydrate we were supposed to consume. But when it came down to it, we just got into the rebounding as much as we could, and we faced it like we would the gym. We just said, hey, 30 minutes a day, or we created trophy body training programs that are available on our website, where these are the programs we did when we adapted, and these are the programs we did when we were losing weight and we were losing those initial pounds. And so if you're interested in those programs, they're similar to the free, well, it's all jumping, it's all similar, but these specific programs adapted. They got us consistent. I'll just say that. And we did our best to eat in the way that gave us that balance. And if we ever found ourselves in a strict zone, we ended up finding ourselves in the balance. One way or the other, balance always finds itself. Yes. And so we always found balance. So if we did get to a point where we had lost more, when we got down to a lower weight at one point, which is actually the same weight we're at now, but it was a lower weight in 2022, we did Rebound, and this was just part of our weight loss journey, whereas we got stricter on the fats and the salts, and we did end up shifting down to a degree of hormone balance and weight loss, where we rebounded, but that's not the right word because we also jump, but we balanced that out. We ended up finding ourselves facing hormonal drive to eat kind of, anything goes. And this was not just let's try this out for no reason. It was like, we have to do this because it was a balance. And I think balance will always find itself in one way or another.
I want to say real quick, if you're here for weight loss, which I know you are, and you've lasted this long in the podcast, you need to be hydrating. You need to be prioritizing hydrating first and foremost, 100%, hands down. That is your number one goal. Meaning, if you're peeing ever darker in color or tight and you have to push your pee out, you need to knock back water. Carry a gallon with you. Focus on hydration, and there's a balance with it. You can drink too much water. Learn. Drink enough water each day. Jumping is your best friend. It is your digestion assistant. It is a way for you to exert energy, nose breathe, and burn body fat. Jump often. Become your fittest, strongest self. Don't jump harder, jump longer, meaning start to work into more jumping. Always do your 30-minute routine each day if you're into like our daily membership classes or our trophy body training programs on our website, or just workouts from our playlist section or our daily classes, free classes. Do those as the foundation, and then from there, intermittent jumping, spontaneous jumping, whether that's dance parties or jumping jack challenge, where you challenge yourself to do 250 jumping jacks a day, which is very easy to do. That would only take 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and spread it out throughout the day. Get on your jumper and jump for your digestion, for weight loss, for cellular adaptation, and then your nutrition. I mean, when I say your superpowers are your keys to weight loss, take those keys, put them in the doors, and open them and unlock your weight loss. Hydration, your jumping, and your nutrition. And your nose breathing is in there with your jumping. You want to be nose breathing too throughout your day. And then if you're going through a cycle because you're you're before menopause, sync up with that, prioritize your sleep, check in with your mental health, and get some sunlight. Those are like the second half, but those first 4 are huge.
So this aligns us with the most homeostasis that we can achieve with our hormones, because we can only do our best. We're humans, and we have hormone shifting all the time, every month, every year. And so we do our best to align our hormones. All these things help us to feel a balance in our hormones. So there's a couple more questions that I'll just answer all together when it comes to our appetite, whether it be that it's blunted or that it's ravenous. The hormone balance is what will help us with the hopefully short-term and long-term connection with homeostasis of our current hormonal situation. These are the lifestyle factors are the other things that really need to play the foundational role in regulating our appetite, whether that increases our appetite or decreases our appetite and balances out the appetite. So it comes down to it. It comes down to the mindset that will help us to just have faith in the overall, just, one thing at a time. She mentioned hydration. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect with happy digestion. It doesn't have to be perfect with nose breathing. It doesn't have to be perfect with sunlight or with sleep. If you get a bad night's sleep or 5, it doesn't have to be perfect. Do your best. self-talk that's positive is going to help you stay motivated and on track, which is so crucial to keep the ball rolling on some level. Not gaining weight could be the ball rolling, or just learning lessons is the ball rolling. So put the priority as the foundation of that hormone health to the best of your ability. Live your best life, enjoy yourself along the way, find that balance in everything. Let balance be your motto, and you will succeed. You will get instantaneous joy and results from that. So
Consistency is key. Longevity is the goal. And read the 4 Agreements, a book we highly recommend, so that you can just start living more in peace and in presence. And also with journaling, I wanted to add, because she's saying write it out, and you might think, well, what, I had the thought, well, what if you don't really know what to write out? When you write out a belief, ask yourself, how does it make you feel to believe that belief? And that's what I think is what will come from writing it out. If you write out, carbohydrates will make me fat. Well, how does that make you feel? So do I really want to have this belief serve me anymore? The Trophy twins are telling me that carbohydrates are my organ's main fuel source. And they both have results that look like that's actually what is true. And so I want to change that belief, and I want to feel good about this belief. So turn it around. Carbohydrates will actually make me trim. And this is part of the work. We like to do the work by Byron Katie, and she takes beliefs that you have and she turns them around so you actually see truths in the opposite of those beliefs, and that could be a good part of your journaling. Byron Katie, Byron Katie, Katie, and she has a book called Loving What Is, and also she has the work that she does with that. So consistency over perfection and focusing on your superpowers. My ebook will be coming out within the next month, and I will let you know when it's coming out, and so you are, you're in the know for being able to pick that ebook up.
And maybe by the time you're watching this, the ebook is already ready.
Yes, and
also available on our website.
Absolutely, and also in the description box is all the information that you need about Rebounders that we recommend, as well as everything that we offer on YouTube. And then also jump into our Facebook group, I Jump Instead, where we have a wonderful community of jumpers who will support you on your journey towards your healthiest self. It's not a diet Facebook group, but it is a jumping Facebook group. And so you can come in there for the jumping, but as far as the diet goes,
you might need to reach out to us on a different platform.
Yeah, comment below in this video.
Yeah. Like Instagram, potentially.
Yes.
Our I Jump Instead is our rebounding channel, but we have personal channels or personal handles on Instagram at Trophy Sally and at Trophy Steffi. And so you can find us there and ask us questions if you need to. And we'd be happy to help you in any way we can. And we hope to see you in class soon.
Yes.
All of our guidance as far as rebounding goes, you can find the information on our website, ijumpinstead.com. Yes. And we look forward to being your rebounding instructor and to help share our knowledge that's ever evolving with rebounding as well. Yes. It's just so fascinating and so balancing. Yes. And we can't wait to have you jumping instead.
And you get the balance of us too, because we bring a little yin and yang, different styles of training and teaching you how to jump, our perspectives, and we're so fascinated with jumping, as well as with all of the other superpowers we've mentioned, that we're constantly bringing that information to you in our daily classes. So come hang out, come listen, come jump, come learn, be a part of the community. We would love to have you in our classes on I Jump Instead YouTube here, and then you can live your healthiest, happiest life and have the support of your superpowers, especially your rebounder, in the comfort of your own home, and so you really can have easy world.
Thanks again. Please give the video a like if you like the video, if you're here to the very end. If you want to drop a comment below besides a question, you could just send us flower emojis, any flowers you want. And speaking of flowers, we got these beautiful dresses at jamsworld.com. These are the long ruffle dresses, and we absolutely adore and love Jams World. They're a Hawaiian brand. They've been around for 60 years, and they're just a beautiful, gorgeous, happy, and flattering material that we absolutely absolutely love and
Yes.
adore. And so we recommend it. We've always been a
Yes.
fan ever since we lived in Hawaii. So thanks again for being here, and we hope to see you again very soon. Take care.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.